Hi everyone, it's Lisa Moore from Inspiring Talks Brighton. And for those of you that know or have heard the news recently, the Inspiring Talks Brighton monthly event is currently on hold. But I didn't want to leave people without some inspiring talks, so I have started interviewing some great speakers who have either appeared at Inspiring Talks or who are new. Now, I've got the lovely Sophie Thwaites here today, who did come to our last live event, and stupidly, I'd forgotten to press record. So we've decided, because her speech was so good and so interesting, we've decided to do it again. So before I hand over to Sophie, I'm just going to read a little bit more about her to introduce her and let you know what she's going to be speaking about today. So Sophie's talk is called Helping Your Child Get Back into Their Body and Ready to Learn. So Sophie is an occupational therapist specialising in creating a more fluid connection between the brain and the body to help minimise the challenges children experience in everyday life, allowing them to reach their full potential. Being able to focus, concentrate, read, write, develop relationships and coordinate the body depends on a smooth connection between the brain and the body. Once a child develops this, the brain can move its focus away from the body and instead onto higher cognitive functioning. Now, I know you're going to love this speech. I loved it the first time I heard it, so I'm really looking forward to hearing it again. I'm going to pass the screen over to Sophie and let her tell you all about it.
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks for your kind words. So yeah, as Lisa said, I'm Sophie Thwaites, helping your child get back into their body and ready to learn. So many of us, I'm sure, understand the concept that our brain and our body are connected, and that how we move our body has an impact on our brain, and what goes on in our brain has an impact on our body. So our first language as children is movement. And this is where we're going back to, today in this talk. And every single movement that we make and all those milestones that we reach as babies have a huge impact on actually how we learn, on how we communicate, and how also we show up as not only children, but also as adults. Now, this goes right back to these early stages, so the first few years of a child's life, starting actually from conception, play a really vital role in creating and establishing a solid foundation for further development. Now, during this time, essential brain paths are created. And if they're not created and formed in the right time and in the right order, can actually significantly impact a child's later development. Now, this can lead to challenges around learning, around coordinating their body, how they interact with the environment, and also how shy, anxious, and confident they can present themselves as well. Now, if for any reason certain brain and body connections are not made during this time or are not made strong enough, what is exciting is that we can actually go back and create them later on in life through specific movement programs, ensuring that the child actually develops these strong foundations, which are crucial for all areas of life. Before I briefly cover the story or cover the theory behind this, I'm going to actually start by sharing my story with you. So when I was 16, I was diagnosed with dyslexia and dyspraxia, and at school was offered additional support, such as support with my essay writing, where I was taught tools to sort of help plan my work. I was taught tools also to help me understand and retain information, provided with colour overlays to ease reading. But I just didn't feel like any of these were really helping. And instead, all these were doing were just widening the gap actually between me and my peers. Fortunately, a staff member at the school had recently completed some training which focused on movement-based exercises to help children overcome a range of challenges, including the writing, coordination, concentration, which were my key challenges. So this program isn't suitable for every child, and she assessed my suitability for it, and I was soon set up on a 12-month program where I was required to do a set of specific exercises, 5 to 10 minutes a day, that changed every few weeks. The changes I experienced over the course of the year were gradual, and so were not necessarily noticed from sort of week to week. But after I looked back with my family to where I was 12 months previous, we realized actually the changes were massive. My grades had improved, my handwriting was a lot neater, my ability to concentrate and retain information was better, and my general coordination and balance had also massively improved. And as a result, I also became a much more confident and grounded person. This is the program that I'm talking about today, because this is the program that was so instrumental in shaping me into the person I am today, and where I now have the ability to help other children overcome some of their challenge and essentially reach their true potential. And I've witnessed some amazing transformations in children over the years, and I've seen huge improvements in writing, reading, maths, all without picking up a single pencil or book during any of the sessions. And that's what it's all about, really. When a child is really struggling with all these things, what they really don't want to then have to do is, at the end of the day, to have to pick up a pen and practice their writing or practice their reading when that is the main challenge that they're experiencing. Now, the theory behind these, I guess, transformational exercises lies with primitive reflexes. Now, I'm not going to bombard you with jargon, but essentially, primitive reflexes are a group of motor reflexes found in newborn babies. I'm going to repeat that. Okay, so primitive reflexes are a group of motor reflexes found in newborn babies, such as the startle reflex, which many of us know about. When a baby, in the first few weeks, whenever they're slightly scared of something, they absolutely react and their arms and legs go out, and that's what we call the startle reflex. Okay. Now, these develop actually within the womb and are essential in the birthing process, as they actually help a newborn baby travel down the birth canal. They help them take their first breath and support early survival. They also instinctively enable us to perform certain tasks, such as feeding, grasping, responding to danger, and then moving on to lifting head up, rolling, crawling, and then eventually walking. All being well, these primitive reflexes should be fully inhibited and integrated within the body by the age of 1, basically when they're walking. Now, they don't disappear completely in case later on in life you have a stroke or an illness where you actually have to relearn those basic movements again, such as walking. And so this is when the primitive reflexes kick in again and help us learn those movements again. But going back to the age of 1, if these reflexes are actually not suppressed in the first year, they can have a huge interference with our subsequent motor development, visual functioning, hand-eye coordination, and perceptual skills. Now, all of these are needed for learning. So I actually recently worked with a young boy who, when he first came to see me, was really struggling with his writing, struggling with correct spelling, the use of lines, even the same sort of the same size of letters as well, which was making it all really difficult to read. And he also found holding a pen really challenging, and his ideas struggled to flow. So he didn't want to write. But by actually following a set program with very specific but simple exercises, he actually began writing far more fluently. It was noticed not only with the family, but also with the school. The school were reducing the amount of support that he needed. And also he was enjoying writing for the first time. So it was actually affecting his own self-esteem and his happiness. Now I'm just going to actually draw a little picture for you, okay? So this just helps to sort of simplify it really about what I've been talking about. So I'm just going to draw a little, I'm going to draw a tree, okay? Now we're just going to, we're going to say this tree represents me, all right? From when I was in my teenage years and I was struggling. So my challenges were writing, reading, and coordination. They were sort of my key challenges. Now, the support I was offered for my writing, for example, were things like writing utensils. Perhaps I just didn't write at all and did it on the laptop. I was given raised boards as well to write on. So these were given sort of as aids to help me with my challenges. Reading, I was given colour overlays to help support with my reading challenges, which, yes, they did help, but I mean, they always really had to be there in order to offer that, to have that support. And now, as far as coordination was concerned, to be honest, I just didn't really do much sport because I really struggled with it. And so my sort of coping mechanism was actually just to avoid it. So even though, especially these sort of two things here with my reading and writing, they did help momentarily. But if they were taken away, the challenges actually remained because they were just acting as a bit of a plaster, I guess. And they were supporting me for that moment in time. But as soon as they weren't there, my writing was still a challenge, my reading was still a challenge, and I still lacked a huge amount of coordination. This program I'm talking about, we're working on this foundation level, so this root system down here. And by working on this root system and the foundation, and essentially when, like, my first few years of life, we're talking about long-term solutions, because by affecting it here and creating new neurological pathways between the brain and the body, it's having a long-term effect and filtering all the way up the tree and helping with my writing, my reading, and my coordination. So these support systems are no longer needed. These short-term solutions were disregarded completely, and instead I was being provided with help from this root system down here for long-term solutions, which not only obviously saw me through the rest of school, through university, but also into adulthood now. Okay, so that just sort of demonstrates what I was talking about. Okay, so the reason we go right back to the foundation is because that's where it all happens. And so because of that, I've witnessed some amazing transformations in actually every child I've worked with. And I can honestly say that the program is not suitable for every single child, but when we discuss whether it is suitable for them, every child that I've brought on, I can say all of them we have seen positive changes with, including growth, improved writing, easier reading, and better coordination, increased self-esteem and happiness as well. So the program is really simple, yet amazingly powerful, because it works from the source of the challenges, creating a more solid foundation from which everything else falls into place. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me speak. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions about it, then please do get in touch and we can set up a time to have a free consultation where we can explore whether your child may be suitable for the program, and we can take it from there. So thank you for listening.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sophie. It was just fascinating. Even listening to it for a second time, and I just like the way that you simplified it down to, you are dealing with the foundations.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense to start there rather than, start at that high level and, like put a plaster over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my teaching from when I so my background is an occupational therapist, and obviously I'm not taking away what occupational therapists do, because a lot of the work they do is really important and can really hugely benefit a lot of children. But for me, when I was working with children and working on what I essentially sort of view as those sort of plaster techniques, it didn't sit with me.
Mm.
And so I went off and did additional studying to learn about these new techniques, because I just always kept questioning myself, where are these problems coming from? Why are some children struggling so much and other children don't seem to be having any difficulties at all?
Yeah.
What's going on? So yeah, it was about trying to find something else. And I'm really, really excited about the work that I do, and that I get to work with children and change not only the course of their life and how they turn up at school, but also it impacts on the family, on the school. You know, it has a real domino knock-on effect.
Yeah, has a knock-on effect all the way through. And I think the thing is, if you can help a child with their confidence, and they don't feel stupid because they can't read properly or they're struggling with their writing, you know, they're going to be much more interested in school and in other things. And it just, yeah, like you say, it has that huge knock-on effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does. Yeah, it really does.
Yesterday, actually, I spoke with I had a couple of clients yesterday, and I saw the children, and both of them were reporting how happier and confident they felt, because they were able to do all the things that they were really struggling with before, and they were feeling that disconnection from their peers, and they knew they were struggling compared to other people in their class. And it was really exciting to see that after even just sort of 6 months of being in the program, they saw things were changing, and they felt confident in that, and their self-esteem was increasing as well. So actually to hear that from the children, for me, is so exciting. And I just, you know, I love my job even more when I hear that.
I bet you do. I bet you do. And I seem to remember, so what's the best age for a child? I mean, I know there's not a best age, but you can't, you know, start with a 3-year-old, can you, for example? Or what's the best age?
No, so generally the youngest is about 7.5 I work with. The typical ages I work with really are sort of 8 to 12, because that's normally when parents are going, okay, my child is still really struggling at school, and they really want to put in that support before they go into secondary school, and they're sort of bombarded with all these other challenges.
Yeah.
But obviously, saying that, I still work with older children, and these techniques can also be used in adults.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And what about autistic children? Because obviously they can be quite challenging. Is that an area that you can work with?
So sometimes it depends on the child.
Yeah.
So just by having actually quite a brief conversation with a parent, I can quite soon ascertain whether the program might be suitable for the child or not. So it basically just depends on how much they can move their body in certain positions. Because if they are able to actually carry out the exercises, it can really help. If they are not able to actually engage in the exercises, then that's where our barrier is really. And I would sort of refer them on to somebody else.
Yeah, cool. So normally the whole process is that you have a consultation with the family and the child together.
Actually, the consultation is just with the parents.
Right. Yeah.
So they can generally tell me everything that's been going on, and what often is the important question is actually what went on in those first couple of years of life. Because then from that, I can then know whether actually the program is going to be suitable, because it sounds like there's something that went, there was something slightly missed in those first couple of years.
Yeah.
So and so that's a conversation I can easily have with the parents. And then actually by the time that we have our first session with the kid, they're sort of on board anyway, presuming the parents have had a great chat with them and said, we can help with your writing and reading, and you don't have to do any writing and reading. So
yeah, it's a win-win, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So how do people get in touch with you, Sophie? What's the best way to find you?
So probably the best way is to give me a call on 07584 857 861, or they can send me an email at info@Sophie sophiethwaites.co.uk. So maybe we could write this in the sort of in the comments or something, my details.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and I'll see if I can work out how we can put it on this video, but I'm sure we can.
Okay,
There's some way of doing it. I'm sure there's some way of doing it. But presumably you're on social media and things. If people look for you, they might be able to find you.
Yeah, I've got a Facebook page as well under my name, Sophie Thwaites. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find me on.
Fantastic. Well, it was really great to have you here again. I know that when you spoke at Inspiring Talks in September, you've had a few people contact you after that event, so that's really good.
Yeah, lots of people actually, and it was really really great, and a few of them have actually become clients and I've been able to work with them, and I think I'm really excited about starting with the kids because I think it's going to be a big part of the jigsaw actually of what's going on for that child. And so yeah, really excited about working with the children.
And it's just so nice to know that there are alternative options out there, because our schools are already overloaded and struggling supporting all these children, and to be able to find support elsewhere that's not overwhelming for the child, that's probably a bit more fun as well than sitting down with an extra tutor for an hour after school. So yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a lot of parents end up coming to me when they're sort of still on an 18-month, 2-year waiting list, and they're tearing their hair out, and quite often we can get them in for their first session within a few weeks, which, you know, we can get going straight away, and they start seeing changes within a few months, which is what we want. I don't want to put them on a 2-year waiting list. And so that's, I guess that's what I can offer differently to what the NHS can offer, unfortunately.
Yeah, excellent. All right, Sophie, it's been lovely to see you. Thank you so much.
You too. And, thank you, Peter.
Hopefully we will be back at Inspiring Talks live in Brighton at some point. But for now, this is Inspiring Talks Brighton. I've been your host, Lisa Moore, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.